Rumors are flying, and it's time to talk about it, and a lot regarding our Detroit Lions. Rumored the Lions could be aggressively pursuing a higher-end free agent wide receiver, so we're going to go over a list of some of the wide receivers that they could look to acquire, as well as the Lions may have an eye on a cornerback from the Los Angeles Rams. The Lions had a keen eye on a specific wide receiver at the NFL Combine. We're going to talk about him and the rest of the standouts at the wide receiver at the Combine, and there's quite a bit of those. And the Detroit Lions made a hire for a coach. But before we get into today's video, if you think it's a real sound idea to place an ejectable seat in a helicopter, then go ahead and subscribe to my channel, because we talk all things Detroit Lions news and rumors. And sometimes being a Lions fan, you can get all sorts of cut up. Also, if you can gently, politely destroy the like button, that would be fan-freaking-tastic. Let's get into today's Lions rumors. The Lions hired an assistant defensive line coach, Cameron Davis. Now, his history here from 2013-14, he is at Diablo Valley College assistant defensive line coach. From there, he went to the University of Laverne defensive line defensive back coach. 2016, Texas A&M defensive graduate assistant. In 17-18, Rice defensive graduate assistant. In 19, Kentucky defensive graduate assistant. And 20-21, Lamar University defensive line coach. He is replacing the coach, obviously, that it won't bring back, and he fulfills a spot for the Lions, and he's a young guy, and I think he's actually done a really good job. It's definitely going to help out the Detroit Lions. When you look at how the coaches that the Lions bring in, they're guys that can be relatable to the players, and we're getting a young defensive line. It could be even getting younger in the NFL draft, so I like this hire, and I think it's going to help out the Detroit Lions. But before we get into the next topic, let me know in the comment section right now. Would you like the Detroit Lions to sign a high-end free agent wide receiver? Let me know. This is going to be the pinned comment. Y for yes and N for no. The Detroit Lions were looking at a specific wide receiver at the NFL Combine. Not a big one, but his name is Wan Dale Robinson. He's not even 6 foot tall, folks, but he had 104 receptions, 1,334 yards, 7 touchdowns, 12.8 average. This guy is a stud. He can get open. He can do a very good job making big-time plays. He's got a hell of a route tree. But again, the issue is for our wide receivers is we have the smaller guys. We need to get the bigger guys. I have no problem with them targeting a wide receiver that's smaller, as long as we can get that prototypical big guy in there to really be that number one standout. We need to have a guy that's going to command double teams, and we got to get that. We got a lot of number 3s and 4s. We got the smaller. We need the size. But there's definitely plenty of size in the NFL Combine and a lot of speed as well. So here's some standouts. Obviously, we just talked about Wan Dale Robinson. He definitely stood out. But Christian Watson, wide receiver, North Dakota State University, big body, just crushed in it with his speed, with his size. He would be a fantastic addition if the Detroit Lions decide to get wide receiver, maybe with that 32nd pick of the draft, if he is there. Was a massive positive, and his stock rose. Chris Olave, wide receiver out of Ohio, a 4.24 40. This guy, but he shocked me with the speed that he has. I don't know if he'll be there with the Lions pick at 32. There's a lot of wide receivers that stood out, so he could be there. But I tell you what, the Lions better keep an eye on him. And George Pickens, I thought did very well for his size. Would be a great addition to the Detroit Lions if that is the route they would like to go. All in all, the wide receivers in this draft is freaking awesome. A lot of them. And if you watch the NFL Combine, there's 12 just in one session alone. They had a sub 4.4 40. It was insane. Even the bigger bodies, the small guys, the wide receivers that's coming into this league is outstanding. And you can get very good wide receivers in the late part of the draft. I mean, look what we did last year with Amon-Ra St. Brown. We got We got him in the 4th round. This is the type of draft where you can do that again. So it doesn't necessarily mean the Lions have to go early in the NFL draft to get a wide receiver. It doesn't necessarily mean they have to overpay in free agency to get a high-end wide receiver, because the draft is there. It's filled with it. The Lions got plenty of draft picks, and they can get a hell of a player in the mid-rounds. I tell you what, though, I'm really excited to see the pro days and what is going to be happening and the connections that the Lions have. Could they go for a higher-end guy, a bigger guy at the end of the first? Very possible. Most definitely, especially if one of these guys falls. And then they can turn around and get another wide receiver in mid-round and really build this depth out. But let me know in the comment section below, do you want the Detroit Lions to draft a wide receiver high in this year's draft? I'm talking high, the 32nd pick or the 34th pick. Let me know in the comment section. This is going to be a massive topic because of the depth at this position. I'm curious to see what you guys think upon this one. Let me know. Also, could the Lions be looking at a cornerback, Darius Willams, from the Los Angeles Rams? He's a free agent. There was connections made in an article today that the Lions could look his way. Now, if you look at his stats, it wasn't that great. 60 solo, 0 forced fumbles, 0 interceptions, but his pass defense was actually fairly good. We're talking about 9, so not too bad. I don't mind adding him as a depth player. I feel like we got pretty good depth. We just got to wait to see if the players come back from injury. But I don't make cornerback in free agency a high priority that much. So if he's wanting a lot of money, I would say to the no. There's another wide receiver in this list they're talking about as well, who's 32 years old. We know about him. He's T.Y. Hilton. The Lions could look at to get. I am not big on T.Y. Hilton. First off, he's injury prone. He's shown he's been injury. He's not the biggest guy. And folks, he's 32 years old. We need to get younger, not older. I think it's very important for the Lions to look at free agency if you're going to get a wide receiver and get one that's much younger with a higher upside who's not injured. So that is my gripe about this. I think that's the biggest priority for me is youth as well as health. Another priority is to make some money. And if you go to chatsports.com/LionsBet, you can do that. You can bet on the NFL draft where players are going to get drafted. You can bet on NBA games. Well, thank you, MLB, for starting to canceling some games there, so we don't have to wait for that. But it's all about making a little bit of money. You don't have to do big bets. You can do $5 bets because I definitely don't approve of dropping thousands of dollars. But if you put in the promo code LIONS125, you can get a 125% deposit bonus and start to make some money. Chatsports.com/LionsBet. Now, the big one for the day that happened over the weekend is reports and rumors came out that the Detroit Lions are aggressively pursuing a high-end free agent wide receiver. What does that mean? It means they understand and identified one of the biggest weaknesses for this team is wide receiver, and probably specifically a number 1 wide receiver. Now, let's go over some of these wide receivers that they could target. We seen on Friday, I talked about how the Detroit Lions could be looking at Allen Robinson, and that very much could be the target there because there was multiple reports that that's potentially could be a guy that they look to get and bring into Detroit, but that's not the only guy. There's going to be a wide receiver who soon will be hitting the market because he's going to be released by the Dallas Cowboys per all reports. I know they're trying to trade him. No one's going to take on that big contract, and that's Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper wants to be a number 1 wide receiver, and I don't think there's that many teams right now with a lack of a number 1 that's looking to get one in free agency right off rip. Obviously, some of these guys are just going to stay with their teams, but he's obviously not, so the Lions could look to get Amari Cooper depending on the contract. If he's wanting some $20 million, no freaking way. Any of these wide receivers or any of these free agents, I don't want an insane contract because you have the NFL draft, and it's important to build your team through the draft. So just keep that in mind. So they could look to get Amari Cooper. Would you guys like to get Amari Cooper? Let me know. He is a big name. Now, his stats did go down last year, but you got to understand, they have a ton of weapons over there. And we're talking about Dallas Cowboys. A ton of freaking weapons to spread the ball around. So it could be a product of so many weapons. That's why his numbers went down. How about Chris Godwin, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? They could franchise tag him. It's possible. But if they don't, he's definitely a big name. He can definitely open up the Lions offense, but it's going to cost you a pretty penny. Is the money worth the reward of the play on the field? But he is a bona fide guy that will come in and open it up for Amon-Ra, St. Brown, T.J. Hockenson. This offense would be much improved with him, and then you go into the NFL draft and get a wide receiver. How about Michael Williams? Reports are the Chargers could franchise tag him, but to me, he's be an ideal fit if they don't. He wouldn't cost as much as these others, and he is very productive, and to me, he's a perfect number 2. So if the Lions were wanting to get a number 2 in free agency, less cost, you can go to the NFL draft and get your number 1, as we just talked about. It's very good at the depth at the wide receiver position. And how about Christian Kirk? He's probably going to cost the least amount of these guys. He's smaller from the Arizona Cardinals, but again, it's the smaller guy. So if they do sign him, you have to assume at some point they got to get a bigger body wide receiver in the draft. But play action, he could be really good. He can get separation. He is a player that can definitely help out this offense. But, hey, let me know in the comment section what you guys think. Who should the Lions sign at wide receiver? Folks, in the upcoming videos, we got the One Pride podcast on my channel every single Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be dropping more videos on this channel. So generally right now, we're doing 6 days a week. I suspect we're going to have probably 7 to 8 videos a week, so get ready for that. Also, don't forget to like this video, share it out, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Follow me on all social media sites, Twitter, MicroMike85. Follow me on Facebook, just at MicroMike. I'm in a ton of Lions groups, as well as Lions Nation Unite, MicroMike.